President Trump buys a Tesla. But did he do the right thing? Good morning, Cooner country. Okay, my friends. President Trump now seeing the vicious attacks that are now being leveled against Elon Musk. We talked about this on yesterday's show. We don't need to really reiterate it here, but it's obvious. The attacks on his dealerships, the protests, the destruction of Tesla cars, the clear left-wing terrorism that is now aimed at Musk, at Tesla, and at people who happen to drive, or not everybody, but some people who happen to drive Tesla cars. And to show his support for Elon, who, as I said yesterday, has lost a lot of his wealth because of his efforts on Doge, because he's exposed all of this waste, fraud, and corruption, personal attacks. People are boycotting his companies. Stock shares are down. Threats now on his life are prevalent. You have many left-wing pro-Democrat groups, many of them funded by Act Blue, openly calling for Musk's assassination. And so, Trump yesterday, in a show of support to Musk for everything he's done for the country, everything he's done for the Trump administration, everything he's done for Doge, and as I said, exposing all of the government corruption in the massive federal bureaucracy, said, you know what I'm going to do? At the White House, I'm going to buy a new Tesla and no discount. I'm going to pay full price. All hell broke loose. I'm not kidding. On social media, among many in the media, it wasn't just liberals and Democrats, even some conservatives were saying that Trump behaved inappropriately, that what he was doing was benefiting a friend of his, a member of his administration, by essentially acting as a glorified ad for Tesla and using the presidency and the White House as the backdrop to help boost Elon Musk's brand and to help boost Tesla, the company, sales, and ultimately Elon Musk's bottom line. Trump, however, unapologetic. Listen now to President Trump saying, I'm buying a Tesla, period. And I want to thank Trump in particular for all of his I want to thank Musk for all of his excellent work. And the fact that he is now being punished and attacked and vilified for helping America and for exposing all of this waste, fraud, and abuse, it's grossly unfair. And so I'm here to support and help my friend. Roll cut 7, Mike.
An incredible job with Tesla, and I mean nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful. And because he's able to find billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste and all of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon because of a lot of the things that he's done and a lot of the things that I'm doing. And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing. There's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite. People should be going wild, and they love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in an economic sense. And I just think that's very unfair.
He's right. It is unfair. Look, Tesla's a very well-made car. I mean, I know my nephew has one out in Arizona. He loves it. Absolutely loves his Tesla. Loves it, loves it, loves it. In fact, when I was there the last time, last year, he drove me around in his Tesla. And he said, Uncle Jeff, look at this. Huh? It's true. It's a very smooth drive. The car operates very, very well. Frankly, I enjoyed my drive in the Tesla. He says, you have no idea. He goes, Uncle Jeff, you have no idea how much this thing has saved me on gas. So he loves the Tesla and he's a big fan of the Tesla and he's trying to talk me into buying a Tesla. Okay. But let that go. I don't see what's the problem. Now, but everybody's like, well, you're enriching your friend. Well, look, he's lost about $200 billion in total wealth for something that he should be known as an American hero for, because he's exposing all of the rot, all of the corruption, all of the misuse of our taxpayer dollars going back God knows how many years. And so now there's a boycott. The libs are boycotting him. The Dems are boycotting Tesla. Never mind the mobbing the dealerships, shooting up some of the dealerships, going around and destroying Tesla cars, smashing windows, keying these cars, slashing tires. Here in Massachusetts, they're literally burning Tesla charging stations, just, committing arson. So Trump is looking at this and saying, no, I'm sorry, this is wrong. On many levels, this is wrong. And I want to show my support for Elon, and I want to show my support for Tesla. Listen now to Trump saying, I'm going to buy one. This is the one. It was a beautiful car, I got to say. Nice color. Looked really good. But he goes, I can't drive it. I'm not allowed to drive. As president of the United States, I'm forbidden to go behind the wheel. I have to have a driver. So he says, you know what? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to let my staff use it. Roll cut 7A, Mike.
I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars. But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it. And they all are all excited about that. I'm not allowed to use it. Can you believe it?
Now, so he then, you see him, he's he's trying out the Tesla. He's sitting in the seat, the front seat, on the driver's seat. He's trying the steering wheel. And then I got to tell you, this part had me in stitches, absolutely in stitches. Roll cut 7C, Mike.
You don't want me to drive it, do you?
I saw Biden do
I'll tell you, it could be.
Once in the Jeep.
Yeah,
very easy to drive.
That's you're the only one that saw it.
So it's like driving a golf cart, basically.
Very simple.
It's very simple. So it's literally like a golf cart that goes really fast. There's no gears.
This is really amazing. Think Biden could get into that car?
I don't know if you heard that last part, but you think Biden could get into that car? No. It's a bit of a low car. So you got to kind of bend in and, you got to. In other words, you can't be a walking corpse. If you're a walking corpse, no, you can't get into the car. And then Peter Doocy from Fox News asks him, well, are you going to get a vanity plate? What's your, a vanity license plate? Something custom made, with a message on it. Listen to Trump. 7D Mike.
What about?
I don't want any discount.
What about a vanity plate?
Yeah, let's see. Truth.
All right, there it is.
T-R-U-T-H.
He download his playlist.
That one got you by surprise.
Truth is good. I also like Fight, to be honest. Fight would have been another great name for that vanity plate. But look, Tesla is a great American company. When Trump is promoting Tesla, he's not just promoting Elon Musk. He's promoting jobs. He's promoting manufacturing here in the United States. And the one thing about Trump, and I'm going to play the cut on the other side of the break, as he said yesterday, I defend every American company. When I'm in Europe, I'm fighting for Google. I'm fighting for Apple. I'm fighting for across the board. It doesn't matter what company. I'm fighting for our auto industry. I'm fighting for GM. I'm fighting for Ford. That's why I'm battling Mexico and Canada on these tariffs. In other words, I fight for American companies, American manufacturers, and Elon Musk is a great American who has been unfairly maligned, unfairly vilified, unfairly attacked and demonized, and now being boycotted. And so Trump said, I'm sorry, but when I see a friend of mine who's being unfairly targeted, I have to jump in and help him. To be honest with you, I think it was great for Tesla. I think it's great for Elon, and I think it's great for the country. Trump had every right to buy a Tesla car and to thank Elon for all of his incredible work and support on behalf of Doge and all of the scandal and abuse of power that he's exposed. Now, that's my opinion. I want to ask all of you, because I know Cooner country is mixed on this issue. Let me ask all of you, do you think it was appropriate for Trump to buy a Tesla and then to showcase it at the White House? Was this him enriching his friend, or was it him defending his friend and standing up for a great American company? Your calls next. Trump, Elon, and Tesla all under fire. 619 on the great WRKO. Jeff Cooner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Off air. This was after my opening monologue. Even our own Mike, even Maestro Mike, was asking me, goes, Jeff, look, I'm not trying to be contrarian, but I got to ask you, I kind of feel like you're being a little bit of a hypocrite here. I go, what do you mean, Mike? He goes, I just feel if this was Joe Biden, if Joe Biden had, bought a Tesla and showcased it at the White House with, say, Elon Musk beside him, I'm going to clean up a little bit what he said, you would be dumping all over him. Okay, that's not quite the word that he used, but, think going to the bathroom, number 2, okay? You'd be dumping all over him. And I'm like, Mike, I go, ye of little faith. Really? Is Elon not being maligned? Yes. Is Tesla now not being targeted with a massive boycott and vandalism at numerous Tesla dealerships all across the country? Yes. Is Tesla not a great American company? Yes. Do they not employ tens and tens of thousands and good-paying American jobs? Yes. So what's the problem? Now, people are asking, well, Jeff, is this the government paying for this? No. Donald Trump, that's another thing. You think Biden would spend his own money on a Tesla? No. No. I understand. So, there's, Mike is like, I'm not saying it's necessarily. There you go. You say, I have a visceral hatred for Biden and Democrats. So, Mike is saying, look, Jeff, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying if Biden did this, you would be going after Biden hard. And I'm like, well, it depends on the circumstances, right? But first of all, Trump paid out of his own money. It's his money. It's not our money. Didn't come out of the, the federal government or the, money allocated to the White House or to the executive branch. It's his own personal money. So if he wants to buy a Tesla, that's his own business. I'm telling you, Joe Biden would never, out of his own pocket, pay for anything. Everybody pays for Joe Biden. Okay? Probably, Mike, just so that communist China would have bought him the Tesla. And of course, he's got to throw one in for Hunter. Okay, so there would be multiple Teslas for the Bidens, bought by a foreign power, probably most likely the Chicoms. So that's one of the big reasons why I would attack it there, Mike. But on the merits of the issue itself, look, when a man steps up and sacrifices his entire business empire and puts his life on the line and everything that he's built, as Elon Musk has, to expose the greatest corruption scandal in the history of the United States, and instead of being thanked for it, is the target of an economic boycott and now political persecution that clearly to me is now on the level of domestic terrorism. You've got to stand by him shoulder to shoulder. I'm sorry, you're not a man if you don't stand by someone like him shoulder to shoulder. Elon didn't need to do this. Elon didn't need the headaches. Elon didn't need to do, to lead Doge and uncover everything that he's uncovering. And so Trump sees his friend now economically taking a beating, watching all these Tesla dealerships being, drowned with all of these protesters who are literally occupying them. He now sees Tesla cars being smashed, Tesla charging stations being burned, in Oregon being shot up by Antifa thugs, and a huge boycott both here and in Europe, simply because they don't like the fact that Elon is exposing all of this waste, fraud, and corruption in the government and across the world through USAID, and he's happening now to be one of the president's biggest defenders. Now, to me, if the president wants to buy a Tesla and then turn around and say, what you're doing against this man and this company is an abomination and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I want you to know that I stand with Elon and I stand with Tesla. What's the problem? What's the problem? Elon is losing money. Trump's not making any money out of this. So again, where's the so-called corruption? And then, frankly, on a more fundamental level, I can might as well just play the cut, but, Trump said this because reporters were grilling him hard. And it's true. He says, I don't defend the NFL and their rights, say when they want to play games in Mexico or play games in Europe. I don't defend Google. Google's been one of my number one enemies, but they're an American company, hire a lot of Americans. So when I say the EU is mistreating Google, and by the way, they are, to be fair, I defend them. When I say the EU is mistreating Facebook, even though Facebook was after me for years, I defend them. So his point is the auto industry. He goes, I got a trade war now between Mexico and Canada, because I'm trying to defend Ford, GM, great American car companies from unfair competition and from countries like Mexico and Canada and the EU that are ripping us off and taking advantage of us. So I stand up for American workers, American jobs, American businesses, and American companies all the time. I'm not going to stand up for Elon. I would be a scoundrel if I didn't. So let me just say this. I am proud of what President Trump did yesterday. I'm proud of what Elon is doing for our country. And honestly, I have no problem whatsoever. In fact, I kind of even grudgingly admire Trump, because what I love about him is he's loyal to his friends. And he's loyal to his supporters. And if you go after his supporters or you go after his friends, Trump has your back. To me, that's character. To me, that's loyalty. To me, in all honesty, that's a man. That's a man. And if I can be confessional for a second, okay, like I'm in the confessional, I'm very much the same way. You go after my friends, you go after me. And it's cost me a lot in my career, but I'm sorry. You go after my personal friends, or you go after people that I think are good, decent people who don't deserve to be mistreated or threatened, I will defend them. And that's Donald Trump. He's an American hero. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Cooner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, it is the Cooner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Was it appropriate for President Trump to buy a Tesla, purchase a Tesla, on the White House front lawn? A, yes. B, no. You know where I stand. I am an A on this all the way, but that's me. I want to hear from you. And I know many of you are divided or disagree on this issue. So I'd love to hear from you, Cooner Country. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Cooner, wrko.com/Cooner, KUHN as in National ER. You can also vote via X, my handle there, at the Cooner Report, KUHN as in National ER. Let's go to Susie in Carlisle. Thanks for holding, Susie, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Susie.
I want to start with, it would not matter what the backdrop would be. There are people out there that are just going to be enraged no matter what President Trump does. Unfortunately, that's the reality of it. Fortunately, we live in a free country, and guess what? He works hard to earn his money, and I might be incorrect, but I think I am correct. I think he's actually doing this gig, being president. I don't think he's taking his salary.
That's
I know
right.
he didn't do it the last 4 years. So
He's not
what
taking
right do these
Susie,
people...
he's not taking a salary now. It's all being donated to charity. He's taking no salary whatsoever.
People have the same indignation and be offended that he wants to spend his own money to buy anything that he would like. Let's put the shoe on the other foot. How would these same people feel if they were told, oh, wait a minute, why are you buying whatever you would like with the money that you earn? It doesn't matter what the backdrop is. What matters is he's doing something that people just want to argue about. Where was all this anger when we had the transgender man showing off his breast implants Easter Sunday on the White House lawn? Where are those people? Because I'll tell you what, I was very offended at that.
Susie, I agree with you. Please don't get me wrong. I agree with you 1,000, not 100, 1,000%. But I just want to play devil's advocate because this is the argument. And it's, to be fair, it's not just Democrats, although they were making this argument hard, and the media yesterday. But I got a lot of emails on this last night, late afternoon, and especially in the evening. And these were from listeners. Okay, I'm not saying it's all, far from it, but certainly a slice of the listenership, conservatives, saying, Jeff, he's president. He's not a private citizen. He's president. Elon is his friend. Elon works in his government. He's using the White House to not just buy a product, but to promote and try to help sell that product, which benefits his friend Elon. And they believe that it's wrong. That what Trump didn't quite put it this way. I'm going to put it in a little bit of a harsher way, but that he's almost like pimping out the White House and the presidency to help plug a product that ultimately will benefit Elon Musk. Higher sales, higher revenue, more profits. He's helping him now because his business is taking a beating. And so he wants to basically throw an economic lifeline to Elon to help him out now in the face of these massive boycotts. And so that in a sense, Trump, not that what he did was a crime or illegal, but that it came across to them as crass, vulgar, and sleazy, and ultimately morally inappropriate. That you don't market the White House in order to enrich a friend of yours who happens to also work in your government. That it's ultimately smacks of economic cronyism. There, I think I've taken about 25, 30 emails and summed it up now in about a minute. What say you, Susie?
You know, again, we live in a free country. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But this kind of is like the glass houses. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, because these same people, even though they're not able to be elected as president, or they're not intelligent enough to make their own way, their own company, if they were and they bought oh, I don't know, let's say somebody that owned, I don't know, GM, and they decided they wanted to mow their lawn instead of paying the landscaper, so they went out and bought a, I don't know, maybe a John Deere. So these same people are reversing and throwing stones when they live in glass houses.
That's an excellent point.
Everybody has the right. Everybody has the right to spend their money the way they want to, regardless of what their occupation is, what their profession is, who their friends are. So people who live in glass houses should not be throwing stones.
Amen. No, very well said. Susie, thank you very much for that call. Look, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's Trump's own money. You know, again, if he was using our money, taxpayer dollars, I say, whoa, okay, that's something different. But no, it's his own money. So, and in fact, I can play you the cut, but he said, I have a granddaughter. Last year, I bought her a Tesla, what is it, a Cybertruck. He says, I bought it for her. It's a great product. I bought it for my daughter, my granddaughter. So he goes, I love Tesla. She wanted one. I said, okay, sweetheart. He really, likes his granddaughter a lot. She was on his knee and, playing with him and stuff at the, not on his knee, forgive me. That was another one, but, she was with him and, praising him and how she loves to golf with him and, what a great granddad he is and what a great bond and connection they have. And he said, okay, I bought her, a Tesla, Cybertruck because I think it's such a good product. Now, if he wants to buy Tesla cars or Tesla trucks, how is that anybody else's business? And yes, he's promoting Tesla. Good. He's not promoting a foreign company. He's promoting an American company. And by the way, an American company that until Elon got into Doge, Biden was trying to force people to buy EVs, electric vehicles. Remember, just 5 minutes ago, Tesla and Elon were heroes. Because they were, fighting climate change because the cars are not, they're not gas-powered cars. They're not fossil fuels. Now that he's exposed all of this corruption and all of this malfeasance in the government, suddenly now, in other words, the swamp, suddenly, how dare you plug a Tesla? How dare you promote it? Trump promotes American companies, American products all the time, nonstop. What's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. They hate Elon. And they hate Elon because Elon is unmasking and revealing how deep the rot and the corruption goes. That's the problem they have now. 617-266-6868. Here's my prediction. I think Tesla cars are going to sell now by the millions. I think you're going to see many Trump supporters and conservatives actually go out and buy a Tesla in support of Elon. And because honestly, they're good products. They're good cars. And I'm telling you right now, I'm seriously thinking of getting myself a Tesla. Not saying I'm going to do it, but I'm considering it hard. Oh, Jeff Cooner, Boston's bulldozer. Should Trump have bought a Tesla right there on the White House lawn? That is now the question. 617-266-6868 is the number. This is from Beverly. This is what she messaged me on Messenger just maybe 7-8 minutes ago, and I think she hit the nail right on the head. So, Jeff, let me get this straight. When Biden was president, the Democrats were all saying we should buy Teslas. They were all pro-Green New Deal. Teslas were a good bargain. Everybody needed to buy one. But now, because Elon Musk is exposing the Democrats, suddenly it's a bad thing to buy a Tesla. Kind of funny, huh? Yeah, well, that shows you how serious they really are about quote unquote climate change. If they cared about climate change, they would have no problem with Trump promoting Teslas. Remember, it's to save the planet. I guess now, not so much. Bill in Sudbury. Thanks for holding, Bill, and welcome.
Hello. Good morning,
Bill.
Jeff. Nice to talk to you.
Bill,
This
is only your third call this year, Bill. We're almost in the middle of March. What's going on, Bill? You're only calling us maybe once a month.
I can't get through, Jeff. The lines are clogged up with people telling you how wonderful you are.
Bill, I think it's Trump's shock and awe. That's what I think it is. I think Trump's shock and awe has you and the left in utter confusion, disorientation. You guys don't know what to do now. You're in full panic because, Bill, you would call and we'd have you on at least once a week. But I think Trump's gotten into your head, Bill. I think you guys are scared, and I think you guys are reeling. But it's nice that you called in. Go ahead, Bill.
Here's the problem, Jeff. The problem isn't the Tesla thing on the driveway. It's the contrast. The stock market crashed almost 1,000 points 2 days in a row. But sure, you run out there and you help Elon because he's hurting. That's it. It's the contrast. And the other thing is, I thought you didn't like electric cars. I remember arguing with you saying that as soon as a really good electric car product comes along, you could be moved. And it looks like that has happened.
Well, I mean, I haven't bought one yet, but no, you see, again, Bill, look, this is why it's a bit scary to have a conversation with you. I'm being serious because all the nuances and qualifications are lost upon you. What Joe Biden and what you were advocating for, like many on the hard radical left, is to force people to buy an electric vehicle. And I'm against forcing anyone to buy any product. Okay? That's so you guys went from forcing people to buy electric vehicles to now not just boycotting this great American car company, Tesla, which makes EVs, but to actually embrace terrorism, to target Tesla dealerships, to flood them, to mob them, to shoot at them, to go around destroying them, burning up charging stations, lighting them on fire here in Massachusetts, smashing windows, slashing tires, keying the Teslas. So you've gone from loving them to hating them, to demonizing them. And as for the contrast, look, Bill, I don't know what planet you're living on. There is no stock market crash. In fact, if you care, and you don't care for the truth, but let me, whatever. Charles Gasparino, New York Post, brilliant column. He's their business columnist. Said the market has been due for a huge market correction now for a long time. Basically, it's 5 or 6 tech AI companies that have been goosing the stock market, NASDAQ, for about a year and a half. And Trump inherited an economic mess, including a massively overinflated stock market. So what you're seeing now is simply a correction. It has happened before repeatedly, but no, you're hoping for a stock market crash. You're hoping for the economy to crater. You want to see a depression, let's be honest, because you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And if you remember during the early 80s under Reagan, there was a very long, tough transition period until finally Reagan turned the entire economy around. So don't call up this show and start wailing and whining about some stock market correction and calling it a market crash when it was you and Biden and the Democrats who gave us $2 trillion deficits, a $37 trillion national debt, record high inflation, open borders. You were the ones that tanked and wrecked our standard of living. Trump is the one trying to fix it. And you're blaming him? Are you serious?
An awful lot. By the way, I'm not anti-Tesla. I'm pro-choice, okay? I like the consumer to have the maximum amount of choices. And if
so why did you support... Whoa. So why did you support Biden's EV mandates? So why were you calling up the show and saying everybody should be forced to buy electric vehicles and we need to phase out fossil fuels and phase out gas-powered cars? So don't claim me now you're pro-choice. You were never pro-choice. No, you're pro-choice now because you guys want to boycott Tesla. And by the way, let me just ask you this. Okay, for once, try to be honest. If we're living in a climate existential crisis, as you leftists now have been saying for how many decades? I mean, the world has been ending now for 30, 40 years now, according to you people. Shouldn't people be encouraged to buy a Tesla? Wouldn't Tesla help the planet considerably, by your logic? So what's wrong if Trump buys a Tesla? What's wrong if he promotes a Tesla? If you guys love the planet so much, you should be congratulating Trump. No?
Reagan position. Let the Americans choose from all the best products in the entire
Bill,
world.
that's why it's impossible to have a conversation with you. I ask you a question, you're like a tape. You don't even stop talking. So let me try it one more time. Do we have a climate crisis? Yes. You said it millions of times. Why are you against Trump promoting, marketing a car that will clearly help us make a much cleaner environment? What's the problem, Bill?
Why do you immediately change the subject, lead me down some rhetorical rat hole, ask me a question, and then accuse me of not following you there? Because you have not mentioned the contrast between the giant stock market crash and Trump helping his rich friend in the driveway.
No, I did.
You didn't even mention it. You turned it around.
Bill, oh my God, this guy, you're so rabid. Bill, listen. I did. You're just not listening. So there is no stock market crash. Name me. Oh my God. I mean, this is like, honestly, Bill, when you argue with a stupid person, you can't win because you're so ignorant and stupid. Name me CNBC. Are they calling it a stock market crash? The Wall Street Journal. Are they calling it a stock market crash? Bloomberg. Are they calling it a stock market crash? So a market correction has now become a crash? No, you're lying. And I told you the stock market has been overvalued. That's why it's now rebalancing and recorrecting. And there are numerous Wall Street analysts who are saying this. Now, you don't care. That's the truth. You don't care about the truth. Look, you were the guy that told us for 4 years that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. You were the guy that told us that he was going to run circles around Trump and that he was guaranteed to win re-election in 2024. Now you're telling us that there's a stock market crash when no one in the world outside of you crazy leftists is saying there's a stock market crash? But what does that have to do with buying a Tesla? Say there is a stock market crash. Don't you want Americans to buy cars? Don't you want them to buy American cars? Don't you want more people to be buying now so that the economy revives and we have more people buying cars, creating jobs, generating growth? So even if you have a your ridiculous stock market crash, don't you want Americans to be spending money and buying cars? Hello? No? Bill?
Possible that we're seeing a correction in that every other car maker in the world is now making electric cars and they're simply catching up? Isn't that a market correction also? And by the way, $1 trillion in real money was lost over Monday and Tuesday in NASDAQ. So you can pretend that that's nothing, but that just proves how in the tank you are for this one guy.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You can make that up in 1 week. Suddenly now this is real money. Come on, get serious. You who supported, you want to talk about inflation. Forget these fat cats. Okay? I don't cry for these fat cats who bought these big AI stocks and then made a ton of money off of them. And now they can't hire their off-the-book nanny because they've lost some money over the last couple of days. Let me tell you who I care about, okay? I care about working middle-class people. And we can't play the stock market. We can't goose the stock market. We can't manipulate stocks and make money the way they have on Wall Street. With inflation, you destroyed us. With inflation, we don't have any money to invest in the stock market. That's what Biden has given us. And you gave us the $2 trillion in deficits, which fueled the inflation. You gave us the record government spending, which fueled the inflation. You gave us the $37 trillion in debt that fueled the inflation. Trump now is trying to clean up your mess. And yes, it's a 180 U-turn, economic U-turn. Of course, we have to reverse everything of the last 4 years. So it's going to be a transition period like it was under Reagan. But you've already got big companies investing in the United States. You don't want to mention Apple, $500 billion, AT&T, other companies, Siemens, I could go on, who are plunking hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. Mazda moving their plant to Indiana. Now you've got Mexican car companies coming back into the United States. So you don't want to talk about the trillions of dollars now that are pouring in investment in plants and manufacturing. No, that you don't want to talk about. All you want to talk about is the stock market crash. A stock market. Because what you and the Democrats and the media are trying to do is you are trying to deliberately talk down the economy in order to foment and manufacture a recession. You want to destroy the economy to destroy Trump. That's how sick and demented you are. But as always, thanks for the call, Bill. Linda in Medford. Thanks for holding, Linda, and welcome.
Good morning.
Hi,
I
Linda.
wanted to, that caller exhausted me. I read online this morning that the demonstrators with the Tesla and the damage to the property are being funded by Act Blue,
Yes.
and that they get $30 an hour. And I don't understand. I remember Com Ave in the 70s in Vietnam. And the police would come with paddy wagons, pick everybody up, take them to the station, and make them sit there until the traffic passed and let them go. I don't understand why they aren't actually where they're damaging. It's not like it's a peaceful demonstration and they're just yelling things at people. They are being violent.
Well, Linda, let me play a cut from yesterday because Trump also made news as he's bought the Tesla and was showing off the Tesla, and he was not test driving, but getting into the driver's seat and basically feeling out the Tesla a little bit. He then said this. He said, "I don't just want people to buy Teslas, and I don't want just people to buy American cars and American products." But he said, regarding all of this vandalism and threats against Tesla dealerships, but you're rightly pointing out, he said, this is a form of domestic terrorism. This is domestic terrorism. And we are going to now prosecute and go after these people who are being funded, you're right, by Act Blue, which is the corrupt campaign arm of the Democratic Party. And he said, we're going to start going after these people, and we're going to start treating them like the domestic terrorists that they are. Listen now to President Trump. He's asked point blank by a reporter if all of these agitators and paid activists who are trashing Tesla dealerships all across the country, should they be classified as domestic terrorists? Listen now to Trump's response. Roll cut 8. Mike.
Mr. President, you talked about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists because...
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. If we catch anybody doing it, because they're harming a great American company.
He says they're terrorists. They're harming American cars, and they're harming a great American company. What say you, Linda?
I agree, and it's violent. If they were shooting at one of the sites
In Oregon,
so
yeah, they shattered the windows. They drove by and they shot up the dealership.
So the thing is, I don't see where they should just be dispersed and then go home. Their conduct merits a lot more than that. But I have a good one for you.
Yes, go ahead, Linda.
Doge found a $6 million grant awarded to Whoopi Goldberg to promote diversity on The View.
That's a joke, right?
No. No.
Oh my God. I mean, that's the thing. They're funding such outrageous things that you don't know anymore if something is a joke or it's serious. Linda, thank you so much for that call. No, I agree with Trump. This is domestic terrorism, and they should be prosecuted and charged and imprisoned like domestic terrorists. Throw the book at them. This is getting out of control, but that's just me. David in Boston. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hi, David.
Jeff, listen. On this question, this big dust-up that Elon Musk and X has undue influence over President Donald Trump, you know, Jeff, I think there may be a grain of truth to that, and I'll tell you why. The reason President Trump has backed off from making Canada the 51st state is because Elon Musk has persuaded President Donald Trump to make Area 51 the 51st state.
David, I'm just curious. Did it bother you at all that Trump bought a Tesla and then basically advertised it, I guess, for the lack of a better word, promoted it or announced it with the White House as a backdrop right there at the White House lawn? Are you okay with it, or do you think it smacks of cronyism?
No, I'm okay with it, Jeff, and I'm in my 70s now. I go back to the 50s and the Cold War and everything, and let's get back to the basics. The commies hate the capitalists. This isn't talked about enough, but essentially it boils down to these communists and their communist dupes, these college students whose brains have been marinated in Marxism at these gender study courses and everything. The commies hate the capitalists, and President Donald Trump and Elon Musk represents the very best of capitalism, and the commies hate them. These Marxists, like Mayor Wu, she's not only a Marxist, but she's a devotee of Mao. She's a Maoist. These are communists. So it's just that simple.
That's a very good point, really, David. Wu in particular. You're right. The opponents, the critics of Musk and Trump, are Marxists. Michelle Wu is not just a Marxist; she's a Maoist. You hit the nail right on the head. And look. Elon Musk, whatever you think about some of his other views, is a great American entrepreneur. And he is one now of the great icons of American capitalism. And that's why now, among other reasons, that's why the left wants to tear him down. And the fact that Trump boosted him up yesterday and thanked him for his service to our country and said, you know what? This is a great car. This is a great company. Go buy if you can afford it, buy a Tesla. That's what I did. I hope you do it too. Good. Honestly, good. All we're doing is keeping jobs in America. And that's exactly what America First is all about. Larry in Leominster. Thanks for holding, Larry, and welcome.
Jeff. After listening to Billy, you owe me a bottle of Tylenol.
I always feel like I lose a couple of IQ points when I have any kind of a discussion with him. It's like arguing with a wall. But anyway, keep going, Larry.
Agree with you, but I think you're asking the wrong question. instead of asking if it was appropriate for President Trump to spend his own money on a Tesla on the White House lawn, we should be asking, is it appropriate for Democrats to deliberately try destroying an American business?
Oh, I like that. I like that. Larry, I like that. Larry, do you see what Trump did yesterday in a sense as defensive, as protecting Elon from the Democrats and the left who are trying to destroy this great man and this great company?
Okay, again, Elon is the face of Tesla, face of X, face of SpaceX. But he himself said, I'm going to bounce back from this. Who's really getting hurt? The average Joe Schmo who works for Tesla, who works for SpaceX, who works for X. These are the people who are getting affected by the deliberate attempted destruction by Democrats.
Larry, as always, you hit the nail right on the head. It's American workers, Tesla workers, SpaceX, people who work on X, and the shareholders and people who own stock in Tesla. Ordinary Americans like you and me, we're the ones who are getting hurt.
And now, America's favorite game show, where you get to decide on the Cooner Report. This is Truth or Troll.
In today's edition of Truth or Troll, where you decide whether someone is telling the truth or trolling, we have President Trump on the front lawn of the White House after him buying his brand new Tesla, where he's asked by a reporter what should happen to the Tesla dealership agitators.
Mr. President, you talked about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists because...
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company.
So what do you think, Jeff? Is he serious or is he trolling?
I want to ask you, the great audience of Cooner Country, do you think Trump is serious or do you think he's just trolling people like Bill in Sudbury? I want to hear from you. Truth A, truth B, troll. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Cooner, K-U-H-N as in national ER, wrko.com/Cooner, K-U-H-N-E-R, or if you prefer, you can vote via X. I'm very active on X. My handle there, at the Cooner Report, K-U-H-N as in national ER, A, truth. In other words, Trump means it. B, troll. He's just getting under the left skin. Sorry, on Twitter as well. It's on X, right? Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's on X as well. So both wrko.com/Cooner and, of course, on X, pick whatever you like. But we'd love to hear from you. Susan in Stoughton. Thanks for holding, Susan, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. This is my first time calling.
Welcome, Susan. Welcome.
I just want to say one thing. I am so tired of all the double standards on everything. Trump whether he's promoting or just buying the Tesla. What about Hunter when Hunter was all of a sudden this, famous painter? And everything was Hunter, and next thing you know, he's getting $500,000 for a painting, and everybody thought that was just great. But now, Trump can't say nothing about any product. It's again just the double standards, and I'll let you go with it.
You're completely right, Susan. I don't know if you know this, but I'm just going by what the media is reporting. Apparently, Hunter's broke. At least that's what he's claiming. Apparently, he lost whatever. He says his home was damaged in the fires out in Los Angeles. Apparently, he owes lawyers millions of dollars. And apparently, he can't even afford. He was waging some kind of a lawsuit. He couldn't even pay his lawyers anymore. So apparently now, I don't know where all the money went. Well, I think I know where it went. It went up his nose. It went up his nose and to Russian hookers, okay? But it's gone. So apparently all of those millions and millions of dollars went up in smoke. And by the way, he's complaining he can't sell any paintings. This is why I mentioned this. So isn't this amazing, Susan? When his father was in the White House selling excess, his son could get $500,000 for what my Ava would do a better job. Okay, for throwing paint on a canvas. But now that his father's out of power, no one will pay him a red cent for any of his paintings. Isn't that incredible, Susan? Boy, he was Picasso 1 minute, and now a 2-year-old could get more for a painting than Hunter Biden. Isn't that incredible, Susan?
Totally incredible. And it's just typical of everything they do. Anybody on that side. I mean, I constantly get in battles with certain people, and it's just, again, the double standards, and it's Trump derangement syndrome all the way.
Oh, no question. No question. Susan, great call. For your first time, great call. Don't be a stranger. Please call again. All right, Susan? Excellent job. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look, just stand back objectively. Okay? Just objectively stand back. What did Trump do? Did he sell our foreign policy to the highest bidder? A la Joe Biden? Let's take Ukraine. That's what Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family did. Why do you think they pushed for Ukraine to go into NATO? Why do you think we sent hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine? Why do you think they basically fomented this war with Russia and over 1 million casualties and dead? Because Ukraine was lining Joe Biden's pockets. And that, of course, of Hunter and his crime family. Now, that's what they did. What did Trump? So it was all our money that the Bidens were stealing either from Ukraine or from us, and then using our money and our weapons and our foreign policy and our national security, which we sold to the Ukrainians. That's what they did. They pimped it out to the Ukrainians. And they're going after Trump? What did Trump do? His own money. He buys a good car, a Tesla, showcases it on the front lawn. Mike, what was and Sandy, maybe an hour? The whole thing was an hour with the White House? Yeah, 30 minutes even. Mike says not even an hour. Okay, 30 minutes. The media's there, a couple of shots, a couple of, photographs. Trump says a few words. Elon said a few words. So 30 minutes. I'm buying this car. It's a great car. It's a great company. Musk is being unfairly targeted. It's hurting his workers. It's hurting the stock portfolio. It's hurting the company. I don't want to see this American company now suffer. Hey, I think it's a great purchase. You should take a look at it. Where's the corruption? Like, what did he do wrong? Seriously, what did he do wrong? He didn't take our money and buy the car. He didn't take our money and give it to Elon. It's not as if, I don't know what, he was using our money to purchase Teslas to then dump them overseas. What I'm saying is he buys the car out of his own pocket and he tells the American people, look at his beautiful car. And this man is being unfairly maligned. You want to help him? Buy the car. Okay? And the scandal is what? What's the illegality? What's the abuse of power? What did he did that's wrong? Except help American workers, American jobs, and American business. Bulldozer 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, listen to Trump now, because he was specifically asked by multiple reporters, hostile reporters from the Destroy Trump fake news media complex, saying, well, you're kind of, you're benefiting your friend. It's Elon. who works in your government, right, as the head of Doge. And you're kind of trying to help boost the sales of Tesla. I mean, isn't this unfair? Isn't this unseemly? Isn't this inappropriate? Listen now to Trump's response. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant response. Roll cut 8A, Mike.
You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have we get a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And no, we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
So, in other words, these people that are targeting these Tesla dealerships and, mobbing them, destroying them, throwing rocks at them, shooting at them, shooting up these Tesla dealerships, going around smashing Tesla cars or burning charging stations. And he says, look, he's right, by the way. These are the same radical left-wing anti-American activists that you see rampaging on college campuses, Black Lives Matter thugs, Antifa thugs. He's right. It's the same garbage. But his point is, look, I'm not just standing up for Tesla. I always defend American companies, whether here or abroad. And listen now to Trump. In response to what message the president was trying to send by publicly purchasing a brand new Tesla. So he's like, look, what exactly are you trying to tell the American people and the world? Roll cut 9, Mike.
What is your message, President Trump? Buying a new car while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead.
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away, other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others in the first term. And it was a very successful term. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
So what he's basically saying is, I'm trying to defend a great American company, number one. And number two, I'm trying to defend American manufacturing. In other words, bring the supply chains back to the United States. And let's start making things here. Like, that's why. He goes, look, I'll promote any American company. But has Mexico been ripping us off? Yes. Has Canada been ripping us off? Yes. Has China been ripping us off? Yes. Has the European Union been ripping us off? Yes. This has got to stop. You combine all the trade deficits with the EU, with China, with Canada, with Mexico. It's $1.5 trillion every year. $1 trillion. Let me repeat that. $1.5 trillion a year. That's money and wealth that we're outsourcing to other countries. And, it's not just money. It's jobs. It's taxes. It's know-how. It's industry. It's factories. It's manufacturing, which is the lifeblood of a country. So Trump is saying, like, yeah, there's going to be a transition. Of course there's going to be a transition. But I can't have people targeting Tesla and trying to destroy one of the greatest American companies. What are you guys, all nuts? Now, by the way, I have to say this. I know I say it all the time, but really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the audience. Best audience in the business. You constantly raise the level of the show. And I really cannot thank you enough. This is an outstanding text that I got as an example from 603. Jeff, and he gives the 603 gives the definition of terrorism. Terrorism, this is the textbook definition, the dictionary definition. Terrorism is the use of violence to achieve a political goal by creating fear in a population. It can involve threats or actual violence against people or property. And then 603 goes on to say, Jeff, for anyone thinking that we're making too much of what's being done to Tesla dealerships and to privately owned Tesla cars, I just pulled up the definition of terrorism and took a screenshot. And I read it to all of you. Does or doesn't this definition fit exactly what we're talking about this morning? And isn't it the duty of the president and the federal government to combat domestic terrorism? Please read the definition and let the jury of Cooner country decide. I want to ask all of you. In fact, let me read it again. This is the textbook dictionary definition of terrorism. Quote, terrorism is the use of violence to achieve a political goal by creating fear in a population. It can involve threats or actual violence against people or property. Isn't this what they're doing against Tesla? In Manhattan, in Oregon, here in Massachusetts, in Colorado, example after example after example? Of course it is. There's no question. Now, this is from Eric on Messenger. And again, I think absolutely hit the nail right on the head. Jeff, how much free advertising did not only Joe Biden, but also every Democrat agenda get for free from the media who received money, billions of dollars from USAID? Every news report on Joe Biden should have said this was paid for by Joe Biden via USAID, including Cuckoo Kamala. That's a brilliant point. A brilliant point. I mean, seriously, that's an absolutely brilliant point. Except Trump paid with his own money, and this was all with our money in secret over the years. Okay. This is one more from Larry. Jeff, remember Solyndra? Think of every quote-unquote green company that Obama and Biden invested with our money in. Taxpayer dollars. Tens and tens of billions that went bankrupt. Tesla stands on its own 2 feet. Tesla was not some green energy boondoggle. Tesla produces a really good quality either car or truck. And it's great. You know, it delivers. It works. Look, I said, my nephew has one. He loves it. No complaints. He's trying to talk me into buying one. So you're going to go after a successful American company that doesn't need constant subsidies to survive? So Solyndra and all these other green scams, that was okay under Biden and Obama. But buying a Tesla isn't? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is my sister now weighing in all the way from Tucson, Arizona. She texted me, Jeff, remember when Elon was California's golden child? The Democrats loved him. He was like the Democrats' rock star. All of these moonbats drive Teslas. They are full of, can people stop using the S word? Can you say crap? I don't know, poop, excrement, whatever. I mean, it's like Are you trying to get me fined millions of dollars? There's some words I can't say on the air, but everybody, they love that word. Bull, you know what? Or this way, they are full of, and I'm like, okay, Jen, could you clean it up a little bit? All right. By the way, she also added, Jeff, Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, has made videos of herself driving her red Tesla. Oh, they're such hypocrites. Oh, are they hypocrites? It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Jim in Tingsboro. Thanks for holding, Jim, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jim?
Just waking up with my morning coffee, trying to plan my day. I'll tell you, I've been listening, to this all morning, and, you as well as I know, the insanity of the left is just, they need a giant Prozac. As far as, what's going on, yeah, it's insanity, and it's, hypocrisy across the board, no doubt. I'll tell you, I had a wild idea I was thinking about last night. And I'm saying to myself, they're all going nuts because they hate Trump so much. They don't want him to buy a Tesla. They're nuts. My idea would be, why don't we revive American Motors in this country? And then everybody would have a job to go to. Well, not everybody, but if they started to build AMCs again, I ran quite a few American Motors products in my earlier years. And I'll tell you, they were some of the best cars I ever had. But I switched over to GM, and that's all I ever drove from that point on. But AMC, granted, the Pacer was a joke and a lot of, but I had a few out there that were fantastic. I had the four-door sedans, and they were excellent vehicles.
Jim, I agree. Jim, I remember, this was my dad, obviously. I was young, but I remember it was in the 1970s. And my dad had an AMC. He loved it. My mother loved it. He loved it. He bought it secondhand. My dad never bought new. Never. Always bought used, whatever, secondhand, pre-owned, as they call it now. And his theory was, and this is what he always told me, you take a brand new car, you drive it off the lot, he goes, it already loses 15-20% of its value. So he always said to me, look, Jeff, don't ever pay through the nose full freight for a new car. He goes, buy a car a year old, year and a half, 2 years tops. It still has a lot on the warranty, and you can get a really good deal. And, and he goes, I know some people love the new car smell. And he goes, fine. So just go and, get it, really properly washed and cleaned, detailed, as they say, when you buy the secondhand car. And it's like buying a new car. So he was always frugal. He was prudent with his money. But he had an AMC, loved it, and it lasted him for years. Years and years. So I remember AMC. No, I agree with you. Look, I would love to see, and I know we have Ford. I know we have GM. I get it. But to me, I'll never forget GM Government Motors. How they took that massive bailout from Obama and basically laughed in our faces. That to me sticks in my craw. I'll be honest with you. Ford is good. Nothing against Ford. But I would very much like to see a true blue American car company come back. I really would. So I agree with you. I would love to see American Motors come back, roar back. But at a bare minimum, Jim, and this is what I admire about Trump. That's why I'm completely in favor of his tariffs. You have all these people on Fox and elsewhere saying, "Oh, I'm not a fan of tariffs." I love tariffs. I love tariffs, and I love tariffs because it's time to bring the jobs back, the companies back, the taxes back, the revenue back, the manufacturing back, and I'm sick and tired of other countries taking advantage of us, from whether it's Mexico, Canada, China, South Korea, Japan, Germany, France, all of these European countries, they have been ripping us off, robbing us blind, dumping their products into our market while putting up tariffs against our products. It's grossly unfair. And we've lost now, 60,000 factories since over the last 20 years? 5 to 6, 7 million good manufacturing jobs. We don't make anything anymore. And so Trump is saying, no, this is going to end. Today, as I speak to you now, Jim, Trump's aluminum, 25% steel and aluminum tariff is now taking effect. So doesn't matter from whatever country around the world. We are going to protect our steel industry. We're going to protect our aluminum because I'm sorry, but I don't want to buy Chinese steel. I don't care if they dump it cheaper. I don't want our military to depend on China, God forbid, if we need to start making planes or tanks or armored vehicles, because that's all steel. You need steel. It's crucial to our national security. And I'm sorry. Look, I love American car companies. Don't get me wrong. But Mazda now is going to open up a big plant in Indiana. Big plant. In other words, they want to avoid the tariff by building a factory, a huge plant in Indiana. That's going to be 10,000 jobs. Good paying jobs that put food on the table, can buy a home, put a roof over your head, send your kids to college. So even if you're going to have foreign companies, and I like Mazda cars, I really do. Okay, I think they good quality, good value for your money. I love Mazda, in fact. But I want them to be made here in America. Don't just give them access to our market for nothing. And the jobs are then in Asia or whatever. No. If you're going to sell in America, you build in America. So we keep the jobs here. Now, is it going to be a little painful? Yes. Are the fat cats on Wall Street, who are all globalists, are they going to panic? Yes. That's why the markets have been reacting the way they have the last couple days. But as Trump is right, we're going to be wealthier. We're going to be richer. We're going to rebuild our working and middle class. And we're going to become more economically self-sufficient and independent. And to me, if there's one thing we should have learned, and I promise, Jim, I want to give you the last word. If there's one thing we should have learned from the whole COVID scamdemic, okay, that whole pandemic, we're going to continue to rely on China, especially, for our most vital supply chains? Like, have we learned nothing? I want pharmaceuticals made here. I want our aspirin made here. I want Coca-Cola. I'm not kidding. Coca-Cola. I don't think there's a more American brand than Coke. I want it made back in the United States of America. Period. And how we allowed those companies to outsource all of those jobs, all of those factories, all of that wealth overseas so they could take advantage of these sweatshops and, $2 or $5 a day labor is to me a disgrace. So when Trump says America first, he means it. And I think in the end, we're going to be a much wealthier, much more secure, much more independent country. And that's why I'm like, it's time to slap the tariffs and keep the tariffs. Am I wrong, Jim?
Absolutely not, Jeff. You're 1,000% correct. I mean, that's the whole problem. It's the whole problem in the U.S. We got to bring back America. We got to bring it back hard. We got to bring it back strong. And I got to tell you, I mean, Ford. Nothing against Ford. Nothing against Chrysler. I mean, granted, they've been a top brand for years. But getting back to the AMC issue, AMC made two engines that I was very fond of. There was the straight six 258, and it was the 401. In the larger car that I had an AMC Matador in 74. And that car would leave a strip for an entire city block factory. I mean, it was incredible.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, no, I remember the Matador growing up. No, look, Jim, I agree with you. Please don't get me wrong. I completely agree with you. But what I also loved about AMC, it was a real American car company. Like, look, to me, let me ask all of you, really. Okay? Mom, apple pie. I know Coke. Coke is a great American brand. But cars, I mean, you know, going all the way back to Henry Ford. What's more Americana than cars? Especially mass-produced cars for middle working class people. That's what we excelled in. That was our forte, as, you know, people say. And then, of course, you know, the American love affair with the car, and then the highway system. And, I mean, driving down the highway in a beautiful American car. I mean, that's almost like the essence of the American dream. And GM took all that government money. Chrysler has been sold off to the Italians. Okay, Italy now, it's a foreign-owned company. Ford, what I'm not happy with Ford is they are willing to build all these plants in Mexico and in China. To me, I believe they have betrayed the United States at a fundamental level. I know they still have plants here. They still have factories here. Good. But I'm not happy with the fact that they were willing to outsource so much to other countries because of NAFTA, because of these ridiculous, to me, treasonous free trade deals. AMC, okay, was a pure American company. I would love to see a pure American car company back. You know, France has Renault. You have other, you know, whatever. Germany has Volkswagen. In other words, certain countries support certain car companies, saying you're only going to build in Germany or you're only going to build in France, and we're going to support you no matter what. I'd like to see one American car company emerge where it's all 100% made in America. Not part of it made in Mexico, or part of it made in Canada, or part of it made in South Korea or China. No, I want a car that is made from soup to nuts. Okay, literally from the muffler to the engine to the steering wheel, everything, to the seats inside, made in the USA. And I'm willing to pay even a little bit more. God is my witness. I'll pay more. Just give me good quality, and I'll buy it. And I know there are tens of millions of Americans who would do the exact same thing. To me, you can't make America great again without making the car industry great again. To me, cars and America are almost one and the same. Jim, dynamite call. Deb, hey, my fellow paisan in Foxborough. How are you, Deb? And welcome.
Jeff, I'm good. How are you?
Good, Deb.
Well, I haven't spoken with you in forever, so I want to give my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And just on this topic, my dad always bought American. Always. I know we lived in Canada, but they had American car plants in Canada. So my dad always felt like you know, to keep jobs in America and in Canada, you buy American. My dad always bought American, never bought a foreign car, ever. And he said it's to support, you know, Canadian workers, Canadian jobs, and of course, American workers and American jobs. So American cars were based in North America. So my dad, just so that you know, my dad was since you mentioned my dad, we always bought American cars. Always. But I digress. Go ahead, Deb.
Well, that's excellent. And your dad was a very smart man. And I'm on the phone. Well, I'm hearing the callers previously. And, you know, I was going to mention that, you know, the libs stole all that money from the American taxpayers. But, you know, Elon has a lot more integrity, because at least when he sold his Tesla to President Trump got something for it. We got nothing for it. Nothing. And I just want to say, too, that Kellyanne Conway this is nothing new with the Trumps and boycotting, because Kellyanne Conway had said she was going to buy a dress from Ivanka's company, when she had her retail division. And so, not only did the stores take her items out of the stores, but the Dems boycotted her and she had to close. So, this is disgusting. It's nothing new, and they're so predictable that they're boring at this point. Now they're getting violent, which is terrible, and I don't agree with that at all, and I hope they all do get caught what they're doing.
Well, Deb, you're right. You're completely right. Please don't get me wrong. But, you can't even say, I don't know, say his son-in-law, not that he does, but let me just make something up. His son-in-law, owns stock in a major car company. Okay, let's just say it's not Tesla, but let me just make it up. You say, well, he's plugging Teslas, which benefits his son-in-law, Jared. Okay? You can't even say that. You can't even say, well, his family's making money off of this. Trump's not making a penny out of this. In fact, he's out whatever that car costs, 65, 70. I don't know what these Teslas go for. I know brand new, they're quite expensive. But whatever it is, okay? He's out basically $65,000, $70,000 because he paid out of his own pocket. So it's not even like they're making money off of this. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, so let me get this straight. If he spends his own money to buy a product that he likes, and then he says, you know what? This company, a lot of American jobs. They employ a lot of Americans and good wages. And this is a car company of the future. Everyone says electric vehicles, it's the future. Everyone's saying climate change, global warming. We have to be so green. We have to be so environmentally clean. Well, you don't get cleaner than an EV. I know there are problems with the batteries and when they burn and how you're going to dispose of the batteries. And I understand that. But, they don't burn gas. They don't burn fuel. So, okay. I thought, hey, great. It's a win-win for everybody. Nope. But, he plugs McDonald's. Always plugging McDonald's. Loves their Big Macs. You always see him taking pictures. Loves McDonald's. Loves KFC like I do. I love KFC. My favorite junk food in the world. KFC. Love it. Can't have it too often because it's fattening and greasy. But if I could have it every day, I swear to God I would. But let that go. He's always plugging KFC. I'm just giving these two as an example. He's always plugging American companies and American brands and American products. As he said, especially if they create a lot of jobs. I'm almost thinking, isn't that what you want a president to do? And that, to me, is what's really, I think, revealing about this, Deb. We've had presidents for so long who keep promoting globalism, international trade, the world order, other companies, transnational companies, multinational companies. In other words, no one is defending American interests and American business and American jobs and American companies. And here comes a guy who says, buy American. Buy American and don't stop buying American. And he's the bad guy? Final word to you, Deb.
It doesn't make sense, Jeff. It doesn't. That's why I don't know any Democrats anymore. You can't talk to them. You can't deal with. I can't deal with them. And so, but the rich part of this is that all the Teslas have the insignia on the back, the T. So every time the Democrats go to look at their Tesla, go to their cars, they can look at the T for Trump on the back of it.
Oh, drop the mic. Deb. Oh, now that you put that out there, it's going to get in their heads. Now they're going to say Trump, Trump, Trump. They'll start melting down. Deb, thank you very much for that call. Bruce in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Bruce, and welcome. Oh, today richly deserved. I mean, the way they're going after Trump, Elon.
I'm so ticked off without having to say any swears. It's just that how they're treating him is exactly how they treated Donald Trump. And Elon, he's so pro-American, and I have all these moonbats saying, "Oh, he's not an American." Boy, are you out of your mind? I mean, these people are crazy. These people that are doing acts of violence against Tesla, they are terrorists, Jeff. And another thing is, it's exactly.
Bruce, can you hang on? I want you to finish your point. On point one, you are dead on. It is terrorism. And Trump now says they're going to be charged and prosecuted for terrorism if they continue to vandalize Tesla dealerships and Tesla cars. Good. Oh, Jeff Cooner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're going to go right back to Bruce and Woburn. Just very, very quick. This is from 703 on the text line. You can text us 70470. It's just, I don't know if it's intended to be funny, but I don't know. I just find it funny. 703. So, Jeff, let me get this straight. The left now hates EVs? With 3 question marks. Yeah. I don't know what to tell you. Wee you. Bruce in Woburn. Bruce, you were making some excellent points. Please, I want you to finish your last one. Go ahead.
These people are not right in the head. Are you, Jeff? This is Antifa acting out through the left, which is exactly what they've done all along with Trump, with you and I, and the American people, the American dream, the American way. They're trying to globalize our country. Like, come on, we don't want steel from China. We sell our scrap to them, and they sell this. I mean, it's so crazy, Jeff, how these people think. We are who we are.
And God bless us for it. No, Bruce, I agree with you. Look, an excellent, as usual, Bruce, excellent point. Look, you said it. They want to globalize America. That's been their goal now for really about 30 years. And how are they doing it? Just think about it. It's all interconnected. You open up the borders. So you flood the country with third world illegal immigrants who will not assimilate and don't assimilate, who have no loyalty to our country, no loyalty to the Constitution, to our heritage, to our culture, to our language, nothing. Then you destroy our economy by outsourcing it to countries all over the world. And then you have us fight other people's wars for them all over the planet. And that's how you destroy the United States of America. Through immigration, through trade, and through foreign policy. And so you're completely right. It's been a concerted attempt. This is what globalism is in a nutshell. And so what Trump is saying is on all three, niet. We're going to secure our borders. We're going to defend our national sovereignty. And we're going to have an American national identity. We're not pushing diversity, equity, inclusion, and this multiculturalism and this critical race theory. We're not going to pit Americans based on gender or race or sexual orientation or their ethnic heritage or background. Those days are over. We're going to be one people, one nation, one culture. We're all going to be Americans, equal under the law. As for the borders, we're going to secure our borders. As for trade, we're going to defend American workers and American companies. And we're going to rebuild our manufacturing and our supply lines here in America. And then when it comes to foreign policy, we're not fighting endless wars anymore. We're not going to defend the borders of Ukraine, as an example, or the borders of Iraq, or the borders of Afghanistan. It's over. We're going to now defend the national interest of the United States. Period. Full stop. And that, to me, that's the Trump revolution. That's America first. Now, is it causing disruption? You better believe it. Do the elites hate it? You better believe it. Is the media dead set against it? You better believe it. Is Wall Street, the fat cats on Wall Street, these corporate elites, who really, to me, are economic Benedict Arnolds, they're the ones who for 30 years sold our wealth away, our jobs, our manufacturing, our companies, our industrial base. They sold it all for a song just to make money and line their pockets. So, yes, there's going to be disruptions on the stock market. Of course. What did people think? They hear tariffs and they all start to panic. You know, we've had tariffs for most of our history. In fact, throughout the entire 19th century and most of the 20th century, America had tariffs. It wasn't the end of the world. So, like, take today, a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum products. The sky's not going to fall. You'll see a strong domestic steel industry. You'll see a strong aluminum industry. It's going to help our national security. So relax, have a drink, take it easy. Trust me, in the end, we're all going to be better off, but especially American workers and the besieged American middle class. Agree, disagree? Dan in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Dan, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. These Marxist socialist Democrats, okay, communist Democrats, are attacking Democrats, okay? Not just Elon, Robert Kennedy, Tulsi Gabbard, who's firing and cleaning the sewer right now, okay? Attacking Kristi Noem, arresting illegal criminals. Cash Patel, who arrested 3 of them this weekend, right? Nobody, the media, the corrupt media ain't talking about it. And people got to remember, they don't need to worry about Trump's pick. He will not hesitate to fire anyone if they're not pulling their weight. And on top of it, the people are attacking him about what's going on. People got to realize a lot of the economy was inflated with COVID money. Okay, in Boston, I can't tell you how many labs that they built with COVID money that is sitting there empty. Okay, and I'm glad you're going to be bringing America First Tim Burchett, who calls out the sewer.
Oh, I agree. No, look, Dan, they inflated the economy with all this COVID money, all of these deficits, this massive government spending. And Trump is saying, no, this is unsustainable. And so the Democrats are panicking and the elites are panicking. Let them panic. Let them panic. Oh, Jeff Cooner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quick reset, and then I want to go right back to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. A couple lines are open. If you want to jump on, now's the time to do it. All right, President Trump taking a lot of heat from the media, from liberals, from Democrats, even from some conservatives, for buying a Tesla yesterday on the White House front lawn, and then holding a little bit of a Q&A with reporters, a photo op, showcasing the Tesla, sitting into the Tesla, promoting the Tesla, saying it's a great car, it's a great company, and then thanking Elon personally for everything he has done for our country in terms of Doge, exposing all of the corruption, waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal bureaucracy and in the federal government. Listen now to President Trump saying that Elon has done an incredible job with Tesla, and now with all of these boycotts, protests, even vandalism being done against Tesla stores and Tesla's actual cars across the country, he says it's wrong, and he's standing up for Tesla and for Elon. Roll cut 7, Mike.
An incredible job with Tesla, and I mean, nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful. And because he's able to find billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste and all of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon because of a lot of the things that he's done and a lot of the things that I'm doing. And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing. There's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite. People should be going wild, and they love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in an economic sense. And I just think that's very unfair.
Good. I mean, honestly, I agree with Trump completely. I really, not 100, 1,000%. And so, look, let me, this is from 512. Jeff, I'm sorry, but I disagree with you on this. What Trump did yesterday was cheap, crass, and ultimately corrupt. He used the White House and his position as president to promote not just a car and a car company, but to help his friend Elon make money. I'm sorry, but count me out. So there are some of you out there that are criticizing Trump, saying he never should have done this, that this was a bad move on his part. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868. And let me just throw one other log on the fire. In the wake now of Trump purchasing a Tesla and really promoting Tesla, are you now more open to buying a Tesla? Maybe you didn't want to buy an EV. Maybe, like me, you like, driving a gas-powered car. But now that Trump is really, throwing his weight and support behind Tesla, Elon, and the whole company, are you, as a Trump supporter, more inclined, more interested in buying, say, a Tesla car or a Tesla truck or a Tesla vehicle? I'm just curious. 617-266-6868. Scott in Revere. Thanks for holding, Scott, and welcome.
Jeff, I love you in an unsexual way, my friend.
Thank you so much, Scott. Scott, what do you make of this, my friend? Did Trump make a mistake, or did he do the right thing?
Oh, come on. You know what it is? It's the new red, white, and blue brothers. That's what it is, Elon and Trump. But you know what, Jeff? Think about it. All these people do. And you know what? It really gets on my nerves, and I'm so sick and tired of it. Everything this man does is for the country. Both men, Musk and Trump. Is Musk even pulling a paycheck? I mean, that's my question.
No.
I don't even think the guy's pulling a paycheck.
No, he's doing it for free, like Trump.
So to everyone who says that it's wrong, guess what? Would you work without a paycheck? There, shut up. That's the end of it. And it's that simple. You wouldn't work for without a paycheck. And this guy's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. And the liberals love this guy. No more than 4 years ago, he was God to them. Now they're throwing him under the bus. They're trashing his stuff. Come on, it's typical socialist behavior.
Scott, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, and you are completely correct. Elon is not just working for free. he's literally sleeping on the floor. You know, the Doge has their own little department, and staffers are saying, you don't understand. He doesn't leave. He sleeps on the floor. Like he throws like a mattress or whatever, and gets a few hours sleep and gets up, showers, brushes his teeth, and bang, he's back on the job. So, Scott, I've got to ask you this. If you were the wealthiest man in the world, and people were saying you could actually become the first trillionaire, and I'm telling you, if you become the first trillionaire, you'll go down in history. It'll immortalize you. All right? You'll be known forever as the first trillionaire. But instead of focusing on your business, you're actually devoting all of your time to finding waste, corruption, abuse, the misuse of our taxpayer dollars. You're doing all of this to save the country trillions of dollars, to balance our budget, and to hopefully save our country economically. And you are now losing hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. People are boycotting your companies. They're personally threatening you. They're calling for you to be assassinated. Your stock prices are dropping like a stone. All of this money that you've worked hard to build up, these companies are losing cash right in front of you. Yet you continue to work almost 24 hours a day to expose the corruption in our own government. And they turn you into the bad guy? I mean, Scott, in all honesty, wouldn't most people say, I don't need this? Who needs this? The Democrats want to jail Musk. They want to kill Musk. They want to bankrupt Musk. They want to dismantle his company. They want to destroy his stores. He's now become public enemy number one. Most people would say, hey, I can live on my beautiful mansion, my beautiful compound, and keep making hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars and live a luxury that people can only dream of. And instead, he's willing to do all of this, put up with all of this as an immigrant to this country because he loves our country that much and he's so grateful for all the opportunities that America has given him. I mean, Scott, in all honesty, don't you think most people would say, you know what? Bye, I'm out of here. Am I wrong?
Jeff, I'm one of those people. I would have said, see you later. I don't need this stuff. Are you kidding me? These people are lunatics. They're shooting these buildings. Listen, the bottom line, I think, is this. We still haven't gotten to the people who need to go to jail. Because Axe Blue, and I'm going to tell you flat out, I don't care if I'm saying it if no one else will. Axe Blue is dead, un-American. That's what Act Blue is. Act Blue is as un-American as buying an EV battery, I think. See, I believe that's how I look at it. And I would buy a Tesla just to spite them now. I really would. I would buy a Tesla if I could, just to spite every liberal in America.
I agree. I completely agree. Scott, as always, incredible call. Real passion, real energy. I love it. Thank you. Love it. Thank you for that call, Scott. No, look, Act Blue is the one funding illegally all of these protests that are targeting and all of these Tesla stores and committing vandalism. I mean, it's beyond disgusting. So do I stand with Elon? You better believe it. And honestly, if I had the money, now I'm going to buy a Tesla just to stick it. On the great WRKO, Jeff Cooner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick, because I want to go to the blazing phone lines. This literally just broke. So, the latest report on inflation. Remember the doom and gloom media? Oh, inflation's going to explode under Trump. The stock market is crashing. We're heading into a recession. The sky is falling. We're all going to die. Relax. Okay? Take it easy. Have a drink. Inflation actually went down. Inflation actually cooled. This is now the latest. It went down slightly. It's still too high, but it went down slightly to 2.8% in February. Now, that's still way too high. You want to get it under 2%. But the point is, they were saying, oh, these tariffs are going to lead to all these huge price increases. Inflation's going to skyrocket. Inflation has gone down. Not much, but it's gone down, according to the February inflation report. By the way, I don't see the media now. All morning, inflation report, much touted inflation report, make or break inflation report. Now that it shows, no, you exaggerated. You hyped everything up. You clearly were embellishing because they want to create a recession. That's what they want to do. They want to panic people into not buying anything, and they want to induce a recession. So they're trying to claim there's a market crash when there isn't. It's just a correction. And now they're trying to claim that that inflation is now going to rage out of control because of the tariffs, when in fact now it's actually gone down a little bit. Now, a big story that's not being looked at by the media. Canada, as you know, has launched a trade war against the United States in the wake of us imposing tariffs on Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian energy. Well, the Premier of Ontario, which is the economically most prosperous and powerful province in Canada, Doug Ford, was talking a big, tough game. In fact, he was using a hockey analogy. He says, Ontario's going to drop the gloves, and we're going to stick it now to the American eagle. And so what he did was, he said he was either going to cut off all electricity to Michigan, Minnesota, and New York, or impose a 25% electricity surcharge. So, in other words, we're going to drive the cost of electricity through the roof. We're going to make Americans in those three states, about 2 million consumers of Ontario Canadian electricity, they're going to feel the pain. Donald Trump yesterday said, you know what? It's not 25% on steel and aluminum. It's now 50% on steel and aluminum. 50%. Within 2 hours, Doug Ford called Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. The Canadian government, the new leader now, Mark Carney, called Howard Lutnick. Can we make a deal? Can we make a deal? We're not raising the electricity surcharge. No, we're not cutting. Oh, hey, Donald, Howard, you misunderstood us. The electricity is going to keep flowing and no electricity surcharge. And now they're going to run to Washington tomorrow, in fact, to renegotiate the USMCA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade deal. So the Canadians have just caved. And I want to quickly read this. This is from Marianne, who wrote she messaged me on Messenger, and to me, hit the nail right on the head. Good morning, Jeff. Speaking of tariffs, I heard that Canada is now backing off of their threat regarding shutting off electricity completely to America and or charging a 25% tax surcharge to electricity supplied to America. Did I hear correctly? Imagine that. Now they're not going to do it. I wonder why. The Canucks are learning. Don't mess with the American eagle. And that's what the world is going to learn. They're learning it now, and they're going to learn it even more. Under Trump, the American eagle is back. CJ in Boston. Thanks for holding, CJ, and welcome.
Oh, Canada. You get the message up there, you Canucks? Did you get the message? I got a message for that Prime Minister, Jeff. Before he stops into the White House, he better stop off at the nearest drugstore and get himself an extra large jar of Vaseline. Because when he meets Trump, he's meet the chief negotiator. But on your point, Jeff, on terrorism, you don't need to read a dictionary to get the definition of that. When you start throwing Molotov cocktails and you start shooting up dealerships or any other business, that is domestic terrorism, Jeff. But I think Trump made a big mistake yesterday. His own cabinet has stocked billions of dollars on wind farms and solar panels. And this goes against his current policy. I don't think that he should have ever even mentioned buying a Tesla. My own personal opinions of Teslas, I know a bit about a mechanic, although I'm not a licensed mechanic. If you read up on these cars, they are junk. They are truly junk. You get no heat in the winter when you turn the heater on. In a short period of time, your battery charges it goes down to about 50% of the reserve. To get them fixed, you have to drop them off for months. One Tesla owner got sideswiped and he needed a new fender and a new door. After finding out it was going to cost him $22,000, he actually burned this vehicle. And the reason why you see a lot of these city, states, and the municipalities with these electric vehicles, that's the billions and billions and billions of dollars that Biden pumped into these municipalities, states, and cities to buy these vehicles. But now they're stuck. I mean, their agenda is electric. Now, Jeff, you can get a 45-foot tractor trailer, and the tractor on that runs on diesel. They're zero emissions now. And diesel fuel's similar to heating oil. So if Musk actually wanted to regain those billions, all he would have to do is come up with a device to put in on that car so that the carbon burns off before it reaches the tailpipe. That is the end solution. But, you take Boston, for example, 250,000 cars registered in Boston. There are only 2,000 electric vehicles. And I think the reason for this is quite clear. Whether you're talking some of the most polluted countries like India that are giving 50% rebates off these little Ciclos they drive around that are $3,000, they're giving them $1,500 to buy them. The reason for this is, and that is, I think, the second most polluted country in the world, is the end game here, I have always believed, is that if you get a global economy to go all electric, now you have those states and those countries taking over the electric companies, to which they will have billions and billions of dollars a year in income. But it's what's happening now here in Massachusetts. Mari Healy just mentioned that she's going to give additional help for people who put heat pumps in. Well, she should do her homework and talk to maybe Eversource or National Grid or electricians. And they'll tell you if everybody went to a heat pump tomorrow, the infrastructure in the street is not there to handle it. And not only that, Mari Healy's talked about reducing prices on energy. Per BTU, heating BTU, electricity is more expensive than oil or gas. So it is more expensive. Just let me finish by saying this, is that bill that they passed several years ago on this Mass Save program. By the way, the companies have been burying this charge in their bill. And because they don't want the ratepayers to know what's going on. They buried these charges in their bills, and now it's come to light. They want, within the next 3 years, to accumulate over $4 billion for this Mass Save program. And the majority of these people that are paying for this, they can't even take advantage of it.
That's incredible.
And it's a shame. It's
That's
just
incredible.
a shame what's going on. So I would just like to say to those tree huggers up there on Beacon Hill, this bill for this Mass Save program needs to be repealed because it is one of the most discriminatory bills and policies that Massachusetts has ever put in place.
Oh, as always, CJ, I always enjoy your calls. Very thoughtful, very well reasoned. So, CJ, as always, thank you very much for that call. So, in a way, I'm happy that CJ called. A, I like to listen to CJ, but B, because finally, I got all these emails last night. Trump shouldn't have done it. It was a mistake. And finally, someone called in with the position saying Trump made a mistake. And so I want to throw it out to all of you. CJ says it was a mistake for Trump. He should not be promoting Teslas, electric vehicles. He says it's part of this new green energy scam that is not good for the country. It's not good for the world. And that ultimately it goes against what Trump wants to do, which is drill, baby, drill, and stop promoting solar and wind, which are horrible alternatives to fossil fuels. And that all he's really doing now is promoting a car, Tesla, which CJ says, you can't heat it properly in the winter, doesn't give you enough battery power, breaks down. It's a piece of garbage in many ways. It's an inferior quality car, and that many people who've bought it pay through the nose, and they're not happy with it. So is CJ right? Did Trump make a mistake? I want to hear from you. 617-266-6868 is the number. And joining us now, as she always does at this time, Dr. Grace, putting liberals in their place. Grace Vuoto, my wonderful wife. Grace, I've got to ask you, did Trump make a mistake? Should he have purchased or bought a Tesla on the front lawn of the White House?
I think that Trump is showing that he's expressing his solidarity with Elon Musk. So it's not so much about the car, it's about the man. That was the point of that theatric display. And I support what he did, because right now Musk is under attack from every direction and his company is reeling. So he wanted to go out there and say to the world, I stand with Elon Musk. Now, is Tesla a piece of garbage? Yes. I'm not buying one, Jeff. Don't ever tell us to buy one.
Oh, really?
Buy an electric car.
I was thinking, hold on, I was thinking of buying one maybe for Ashton, as he gets older. But you're saying, no, we're not buying a Tesla?
There's going to be another insurrection in the Cooner household. It's a piece of garbage. And we're not going electric. I'm all for put the gas in my car.
So I can't move. We're not moving to New Hampshire. You guys nixed that, you and the kids. And now there's no Tesla.
There's no Tesla. But come on, folks. It's not about the Tesla. It's about the man. We're going to stand shoulder to shoulder with Elon Musk. I think the greater problem is this, Jeff. If I were advising Trump, I would say, look, Musk is brilliant, but he's good behind the scenes. Leave him in that wing wherever he's working, close the door, and don't let him out. Each cabinet member should be the spokesperson for what's going on in their departments. They're going to express what's happening with more skill, with more clarity, with more detail. The problem with Musk is he's not a very good spokesperson. He looks like a dork. His social skills are way off. He's brilliant, but like a lot of brilliant people, they don't necessarily have the other set of skills that you need, which is the connection with people, the communication skills. I don't think he's very good at that. So I would just keep him behind the scenes. Let him do his job, but just close that door.
Overall, how do you feel about Trump's tariffs and the fact now that the stock market has reacted very negatively over the last couple of days? The NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, they've been taking a beating. People are now saying there may even be a recession caused by Trump. What say you?
Well, look, Jeff, I can just tell you I'm going to react very viscerally right now. When I hear you, all your arguments make a lot of sense. Theoretically, I agree with you. But viscerally, I'm very disappointed. I did not vote for more disruption. I mean, look at and it's not the fat cats in Wall Street that are going to suffer. It's the middle class and the working class that are going to be impacted by this. I voted for inflation to come down, and I voted for those policies to be put in effect immediately. The middle class and the working class, we need immediate economic relief from the disastrous Biden years. I support Trump's tariff policies, but incrementally and later. The timing is way off. Look at what we've experienced. We had a great recession under the Bush years. Then we had so many years with Obama of very low economic growth. Finally, Trump came to power. We had 3 awesome years. Then we were hit by the pandemic, devastating. So many people, so many businesses suffered. And now we've had 4 disastrous years of Biden with this crazy inflationary cycle. And honestly, Jeff, with all due respect, when I listen to you, I think, boy, it's good to be Jeff Cooner. Because Jeff Cooner reads, he goes to work, he talks, but he doesn't come home and have to figure out, oh, look at this bill. From what account am I going to get this fund to pay for this bill? And, oh, look at this braces bill. Oh, how am I going to cover this? Look, tariffs are good theoretically, and in the long run, we need to do what Trump is telling us to do. But right now, the middle class and the working class, we need this like a hole in the head. It's personally very frustrating for me. I did not vote for this. I didn't vote for this. And then when we talk about tariffs, sure, I want him to do what he did in the first term. Slap it on China and go after Mexico. But Canada, the EU, you're going to fight everybody all at once? And those are our allies. Those are overall our friends. I know we need to make adjustments, but there's a way of making adjustments with friends versus those, like China. The way we treat China has got to be different than the way we treat Canada and the EU. So yes, go after China, go after Mexico. Then there's India. We've outsourced tons of jobs to India. Those are the big 3. Take them on. But Canada, the EU, I've got a lot to say about that too. But my overall point, Jeff, is right now, we just needed Donald Trump to do what he did in the first term. We need immediate economic relief. And this is not the fat cats in Wall Street. This is businesses, the housing market. This is working class people who cannot afford their bills and they cannot afford their food and we cannot afford our energy prices. It's all unsustainable in individual households.
So, Grace, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what you're saying is focus on the tax cuts, get that bill passed, deregulation, cut back spending, which will help lower inflation, and push a big bill for massive energy independence, oil drilling, so we can lower prices across the board. And if Trump then wants to start going into raising tariffs or getting into trade wars, do that later. In other words, the sequencing is everything. Do the taxes, do the deregulation, attack inflation and the energy drilling. Do that now and then worry about the tariffs later, correct?
Yes, and do it incrementally and do it thoughtfully. And yes, we reciprocate, but there's a difference between reciprocating with our foes and reciprocating with overall our friends, So that's the big problem right now. I think he's trying to do a bit too much too fast. I know that overall it's like tough medicine. It's like he wants to give us this medicine that we need. But right now, we're sick with cancer. We can't just take this medicine right now. First, we got to heal, and then we got to see what the next step is.
All right, Grace, I want to ask you 2 questions. We've got about 3 minutes, so I just want you to be as short and punchy as possible. What do you say to the argument? It essentially took Reagan almost 3 years to pull us out of the mess that Jimmy Carter left the country in. Trump's not saying it's going to take 3 years, but he's saying it's going to take about 6 months. In other words, we didn't get into this mess overnight. It was Biden. It was 4 years, a disastrous 4 years. Trump is saying, look, I've inherited $2 trillion deficits, a $37 trillion debt, skyrocketing inflation, massive trade deficits, open borders, and trade policies that we're getting ripped off by everybody. We got to start doing it now. I can't back into this. Either we rip the Band-Aid off now, or it's going to get worse. What say you?
Well, Jeff, I don't think that's true. Look at how quickly he resolved the border crisis. And everybody said, oh, my gosh, it's such a big problem. He did that very quickly because he focused on it. And he's bringing down crime because he focused on it. Is he focusing every day on inflation? No, he's not. Is he focusing every day on energy? I just want him to focus on inflation and energy and then take care of deficits, tariffs, those are huge systemic problems that have gone on for decades. We're not going to fix that in 6 months. That's a lie. You want to bring manufacturing jobs here? How long does it take to build a plant, Jeff? Think about, look, I deal in housing. How long does it take to build one house? You're looking at 6 to 9 months if you're lucky. What do you think? How long does it take to build a manufacturing plant? And then negotiate what the prices for those laborers are going to be, because we got to bring wages down. This is not going to be 6 months of pain. It's going to be a long time before you get that situation under control. So he's tackling systemic problems when we have even easier problems that we can address to at least get us back to where we were during the Trump years, and then tackle the systemic problems that have been created by the globalists for decades. You're not going to fix problems that have been created for decades in 6 months. It's impossible.
I was going to ask you a second question, but we've only got 20 seconds left. But Grace, I take it from what I hear from you, you don't like it that Trump's picking on Canada. Are you a Canada firster? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Are you crying for Canada? Let me ask you point blank. When Canada and the USA played in that championship game a couple of weeks ago, were you rooting for Canada or the USA? I'm just asking. Bulldozer cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Grace just texted me saying she wanted me to relay to everybody that when I was asking her, are you America first or Canada first, for whatever reason, I don't know if Mike was being mischievous or not, but he cut off her ability to talk on the air. And she was answering America first, America first. I'm not so sure. I don't know if I believe her, to be honest. I'm just judging her by her reaction to the hockey game a couple of weeks ago. It seemed to me like she was rooting for Canada, but let that go. All right, a lot of reaction to Grace's hit. You can text us 70470. This is from 508. Jeff, I disagree with Grace. She may not want a Tesla, but it's certainly not garbage, as she mentioned. I've seen one up close and driven one. It's a marvel of modern technology, not simply a quote-unquote electric car. I don't have a desire to buy one, but it represents Elon's genius. And I like that his social skills are a little wacky. It makes him look so much more human when he's in the midst of the slick politicians. Yeah, I got to be honest with you. You know, Grace keeps going on to me in private how, you know, he looks nerdy. Elon looks dorky. He's socially awkward. He doesn't come across well. It's not good for Trump or the administration in terms of the image that's being conveyed. And I'm like, no, I think he looks a lot more authentic than those, you know, sleazy politicians. Am I wrong? 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, this is from my sister. So it's like almost like a family feud now. So this is Jen, my sister Jennifer in Tucson. Jeff, I am currently in my Tesla, and I'm sorry, but I disagree with Grace. It's very rainy, cold morning here in Tucson, Arizona. I am very warm and toasty in my Tesla. I have had this particular model for 4 years, going almost on 5 years. I have had no issues whatsoever, and we have had 3 Teslas so far. I can't complain. It's a great car. In fact, seriously, I'm thinking about buying another Tesla, a red one, and get somebody to write MAGA on it. So my sister and her husband and my nephews love Tesla. They vouch for Tesla. Steve in Sturbridge. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Steve.
Yes. Okay. As far as the optics, I think what Trump was trying to do with this Tesla was to show to the American, you know, to GM, Ford, and Chrysler, and to the other ones that build the cars here. You know, I think that was his optics, was to show that and show the world that he's going to be America first. He hasn't backed off on that. I think that's the theme behind it. I think people are missing it. I think what he wanted to show is we're going to build them here in America. We can build a electric car, because don't forget, China's been always trying to say with Buffett that BYD makes a better car and everything else. I think he wants to show that, hey, we do it here, we can do it better. Second, I think the only one that he has to worry about, because for his economic agenda and everything else, is Pam Bondi. I haven't seen anything coming out of her outside of trips down to Fox to just sling a little bit of talking points. The Epstein file, where's that? What about the FBI shredding the documents? Time to how come when they go to Trump, they come in full blast with guns, they're ready to shoot up everybody, they're going through Melania's underwear and everything else, and yet Pam Bondi hasn't done anything. Is she going to be the Porterhouse Bill Barr of our administration?
Well, Steve, to be honest, that's the biggest complaint now I'm getting from the audience, from Cooner country. And I hope Trump's people are listening. Now, look, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes at the Department of Justice. To be fair to her, I don't know if she's getting her ducks in a row. I don't know if she's getting everything ready for an all-out assault, a legal assault. But I get this all the time now. Are we going to have another, steakhouse, Porter Steakhouse, Bill Barr? Are we going to have another Jeff Sessions, where they all talk a big game and they don't do much? And so that's the one area I'm very concerned about as well. Now, to be fair to her, and I was going to talk about this today, but this Tesla story is just, it's big. It's just so huge that radical Palestinian graduate student, Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia, who now has been detained and arrested by ICE. They revoked his green card. Pam Bondi was instrumental in that. And not only that, she's moved him to a detention center in Louisiana. Now, why is that important? Because a New York judge is going to try to get this terrorist, this pro-terrorist, sent back to New York to get his green card reinstated. Bondi made the move to send him to Louisiana, outside the jurisdiction of this liberal New York judge. So what I'm saying is she is doing some stuff. It's not like she's just sitting there twiddling her thumbs. And she's helping Trump to deport this guy who I think needs to be deported and have his, green card rescinded. But you're right, Steve. I want to see arrests. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, hey, they raided Trump's home, guns blazing. They went through Melania's underwear. They had shoot to kill orders. So when the Democrats move, they move. When we get into power, not so much. Steve, thank you for that call. 617-266-6868. Mike. Maestro Mike. Judy in Dedham. Thanks for holding, Judy, and welcome.
Hi, thank you, Jeff. Glad to be on your show here talking. I just want to say one thing about your wife. I look forward to her every single Wednesday to give her opinion. And I really appreciate what she said about the tariffs. The tariffs are so important, but they need to be done the way she said. I think that is a better solution for everything. And I think she needs to write a letter to President Trump.
Well, his people heard her, I guarantee you. Judy, you just get a sense of what my evenings are like at the dinner table. And just imagine my Ashton and my Ava, and it's usually 3-on-1. I'm surrounded. I'm outmanned, outgunned. I'm surrounded. Mike says he's still waiting on that spine. That spine. Judy, thank you very much for that call. Do you agree with Judy? Your call's next. 1-7-266-6868 is the number. Okay, lot of reaction now coming in from both Grace's hit and the call by Judy just before the break. Very quickly, this is from, by the way, you can text us 70470, 70470. This is from 617, and this relates to Remember Senator Mark Kelly, Arizona, who tried to sabotage the peace process in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia and the United States, by going to visit Zelensky over the weekend? Well, apparently it came out that George Soros' son, Alex Soros, who's really inheriting the Soros empire and continuing his father's work, financed the trip and has, just stuffed money into Mark Kelly's campaign coffers. So this is from 617. Jeff, President Trump bought a Tesla and Alex Soros bought Senator Mark Kelly. Very good point. Excellent point. Now, Grace sent me a follow-up text, and I want to read it to all of you because she says this will clarify the debate now that's clearly developing among many of you in this great Cooner country audience. Jeff, as I said on the air, and I want to reiterate it, it's good to be you. You read, you go to work, you talk, but you don't cut the checks. You don't pay the bills. I do. You're not dealing with real estate as I am, which is on a roller coaster right now. Confidence is shaken across the economy because of the stock market plunge and because of Trump's tariffs. So I want to ask all of you, is Grace right? Is Judy right? Do you think Trump made a mistake with the tariffs? Maybe not so much in implementing them, but in the sequencing, that he went with the tariffs first instead of, passing the tax cuts, doing the deregulation, passing a good energy bill that really starts to get us drilling and driving down the price of energy. And in particular, do you feel that he's not focused enough like a laser beam on the economy, on lowering inflation, on helping working middle-class Americans get much-needed relief? I'm just curious. Is he trying to do too much, too fast? 617-266-6868. Bob in Waltham. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Well, good morning.
Please don't call me Mr. Cooner. You just heard me with my wife 15 minutes ago. I'm not that important. Believe me. Just call me Jeff, Bob.
It was completely out of respect. I wrote down my thoughts. I wrote down my thoughts so I wouldn't ramble, but I wanted to say for a while, first of all, condolences on your father, the loss of your father.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Secondly, I would like to say that you, sir, are a national treasure.
Oh, thank you.
The impact you have is so enormous. I tell you personally, it's 8 days into Lent. I had a choice of giving up coffee, which I absolutely love, or listening to your show. Well, we're 8 days into Lent, and I'm listening to your show.
Well,
your wife is brilliant. You're so welcome. You deserve every possible positive thought and reaction. Your wife is brilliant. The two of you are truly the dynamic duo. I disagree with her this morning in this sense that I believe it has to get worse before it gets better. I believe that the tariffs and everything else that Trump is doing now, the big things are all tied towards really, really taking care of inflation. If we can just trust him and wait for this correction to take place. That's my observation about that. But I love your wife. She's brilliant, and I wait for her because I learned so much from her. 99 times out of 100, I agree with her. And regarding your topic this morning with Trump, I wrote these down so I wouldn't take long. First of all, I believe Trump, it is a reaction to what has happened against Elon. Otherwise, Trump would not have done it. Do you agree?
I agree. No, I think there's no question.
And secondly, companies are not run by patriots anymore. They're only concerned with money. That's their game. It's a game to them. How much money can I make? How can I do this? How can I be smarter than the next person? They don't have the values or appreciation for America that I'm assuming now. You're a historian. You might know better than me. But my father was in Iwo Jima, and I'm assuming that when the people came home and saw what they had to sacrifice and fight for and their loved ones that died for, they were patriots, and they conducted themselves in business, I believe it had to be more with an idea of patriotism infused in that as opposed to just the bottom line.
You're completely correct, Bob, and I don't want to break your flow because you're really on a roll. And I'm not defending everything they did or every business practice, but what I'm saying is, look at Henry Ford or J.P. Morgan or Rockefeller or, the great titans, right, of American industry in the late 19th, early 20th century. I'm just going to use them as an example. Yes, of course, they're there to make money, of course. And they're there to sell products, of course, and to make a profit, of course. No question. They're not running a charity. They're running a business. But they were always Americans first. Their loyalty was always to America. And in the end, if it was between, money or patriotism, they would always choose patriotism. They wouldn't, there were many things they wouldn't do that would get them a little bit richer, but they knew would hurt the national security of the United States or betray the country either through national security or through, economically. That's changed. I mean, that's really changed. And that's what I mean when you listen to these CEOs now give an interview. Like, you don't know what country? I mean, really, they could be from Britain. I mean, except for their accent, right? Are they Canadians? Are they Americans? Are they British? Are they Australians? They're all the same because they don't have a loyalty to their countries anymore. Trump is an American. He's a great capitalist. He's a great entrepreneur, but he's an American. And ironically, Elon, who's originally from South Africa, but like me, a naturalized American, he's telling everybody, yeah, I want to make money, of course, but I'm an American first. And that's all the difference. Bob, please keep going.
And oftentimes, Jeff, it's naturalized Americans like yourself, like Elon, who in this day and age really appreciate America for what it is and what it has offered people in the past. They understand more its foundations, what started it, why this great experiment has become the greatest country on earth, and they want to keep that going and support it for their children, for their neighbors. And I just want to make one last observation. The Tesla is the state of the art right now. And by buying a Tesla, it's not perfect, but I know he made some incredible innovations, especially with the chassis, where he found a way to make it ultralight, but because the battery's so heavy, a way of injection molding or what have you, that it's all of a piece. Maybe that's why it's expensive to repair it, but it's not perfect. But it's the state of the art for electric vehicles right now. And when you buy a Tesla, you're supporting ongoing research and development to make it better. So it's a win-win all around. And just to close with, thank you for the time, Trump has lost money in this endeavor. He has had his life turned upside down for what? 8-9 years now. Elon Musk, the same thing. Why are they doing it? They don't need the money. They're losing money. Trump never took a salary. Elon Musk has lost a couple of $2 trillion or something.
Hundreds of billions. He's lost about $200 billion now. So, no, Bob, look, your point is dead on. I mean, you're brilliant. They're doing it because they love our country. That's why. And they're both losing money, and they don't care. Because ultimately, they put America and patriotism above profit. 49 on the great WRKO. Jeff Cooner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, I want to read to you two diametrically opposed comments. Both of them are staunch Trump supporters. But I think it really shows you where the audience is on this issue, or at least for many of you are on this issue. This is from Andy on Messenger. Jeff, I voted for Trump 3 times. He is awesome. I agree with him 95% of the time. However, I am retired. My retirement fund has tanked by $300,000 since he took office. Under Biden, it was growing. Donald Trump is going too fast with the tariffs. It will take years for me to get back on track, and that's being hopeful. And I have a great financial firm, Kelly Financial. So Andy's saying that the beating in the stock market, a lot of it triggered by the tariffs, is hurting him and his retirement portfolio. And he says it may take him years to bounce back. Then this is from 781. Jeff, my advice to Grace, relax. Everything's going to be okay. Trump said there would be some difficult periods, but the end result will be America's golden age. And I believe him. Colette in Swampscott. Thanks for holding, Colette, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Welcome, Colette.
Thank you. Your caller, maybe a half an hour ago, inspired me to call. He was very negative about the Tesla car. He hadn't had one himself, but said that he had heard this, that, and the other thing about it was a piece of junk. During COVID, I got a Tesla. So that's going on 5 years, and it has been a dream. Anything that's wrong, they fixed for the first 2 years, I think. They were efficient. I just use the app, say what's wrong. They make an appointment. They give you a car. Super helpful. And then, but there's hardly been anything wrong with the car. It's so smooth and effortless and low maintenance. We don't use it for traveling. We still do have a gas car for long trips because we didn't buy the long range one. But I come home from work, or the car needs to be charged. I can program it to only charge during the lowest cost energy use while I'm sleeping. And I wake up and it's charged, and I can also set it to be warm right before I'm going to drive on the days that I drive into work. So it warms up the battery and charges the battery. But even when it's cold, it warms up so much quicker than any gas car that I've ever been in.
Okay, because Colette, one of the complaints I've been hearing from, it's just maybe a handful of listeners, they've been texting me throughout the show, over the last hour, I would say, is they say, Jeff, the heating system is junk, whatever, it's bad in the Tesla. You're saying in the wintertime, even when it's cold outside, you don't have an issue with heating your Tesla, correct?
No, but I also can, right before I leave from work, I can open my app and warm the car up, maybe for 5 minutes as I'm walking out of the office.
That's incredible.
Or walking out of a restaurant, that I can turn the seat heaters on from the app.
Wow.
But even when it is cold, it warms up so much faster than my husband's car, which I sit and freeze all the way home. So it spurred me to call you because I've had the complete opposite experience.
That's what my sister said. I mean, in her text as well. She goes, I've had 3. We're thinking of getting another one. She goes, now, she does live in Arizona, but she says, really, a couple months of the year, it gets pretty cold. And she goes, I've never had a problem heating my Tesla. So that's interesting. Colette, thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. And Colette, don't be a stranger. Call again, Colette, please. Gordon in Vermont. Speaking of cold. Gordon, thanks for holding and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I have more than one thought, but it's almost the end of the show. So I'll just say I like the idea of electric cars. I've driven electric vehicles, but they were like forklifts, pallet jacks, golf carts. That all could be for short distances, and it could be parked overnight. Because for long distances, you have to stop for a long time to charge the thing up. And but I think he should keep going. I think they're just shaking things up. I'm not afraid of what Trump's doing. Just shake stuff up, see how it plays out, and don't worry about carbon dioxide because it's the food of life, and we don't have lead in gasoline anymore. So it's really not a problem. We're going to be okay, and we'll see what happens.
Gordon, would you ever think, we got about a minute left, Gordon.
Yeah.
Would you ever think of buying a Tesla?
think so. I drove one once, though, from a friend's house in Lexington. Her housemate had one, and it was a pretty nice car. I just drove it for him down to the local charging station because he had to follow me in another car, and leave it there. And the time it takes to charge those batteries, as of now, I think for most purposes, it's just not practical.
Interesting. So you're saying until they make more improvements, you're a no. Interesting. Gordon, nice way to end the show. The callers, honestly, always an A. Today it was A+. And I can, again, thank you very much because you make the show so much better. On that note, have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.